Valentina Vladimirovna Tereshkova, born 6 March 1937, is a retired Russian cosmonaut and politician. She is the first woman to have flown in space, having been selected from more than 400 applicants and 5 finalists to pilot Vostok 6 on 16 June 1963. She completed 48 orbits of the Earth in her 3 days in space. In order to join the Cosmonaut Corps, Tereshkova was honorarily inducted into the Soviet Air Force, and thus she also became the first civilian to fly in space. Before her recruitment as a cosmonaut, Tereshkova was a textile factory assembly worker and an amateur skydiver. After the dissolution of the first group of female cosmonauts in 1969, she became a prominent member of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union, holding various political offices. She remained politically active following the collapse of the Soviet Union and is still regarded as a hero in post-Soviet Russia. In 2013, she offered to go on a one-way trip to Mars if the opportunity arose. At the opening ceremony of the 2014 Winter Olympics, she was a carrier of the Olympic flag. Early life. Tereshkova was born in the village of Maslenikovo in Tutaryevsky district, Yaroslavl Oblast, in central Russia. Her parents had migrated from Belarus. Tereshkova's father was a tractor driver and her mother worked in a textile plant. Tereshkova went to school in 1945 at the age of 8, but left school in 1953 and continued her education by correspondence courses. She became interested in parachuting from a young age, and trained in skydiving at the local aero club, making her first jump at age 22 on the 21st of May 1959. At the time, she was employed as a textile worker in a local factory. It was her expertise in skydiving that led to her selection as a cosmonaut. In 1961 she became the secretary of the local Komsomol and later joined the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. Career in the Soviet space program. After the flight of Yuri Gagarin in 1961, Sergei Korolev, the chief Soviet rocket engineer, came up with the idea of putting a woman in space. On the 16th of February 1962, Valentina Tereshkova was selected to join the female Cosmonaut Corps. Out of more than 400 applicants, 5 were selected: Tatyana Kuznetsova, Irina Solovyova, Anna Yorkina, Valentina Ponomariova, and Tereshkova. Qualifications included that they be parachutists under 30 years of age, under 170 centimeters tall, and under 70 kilograms in weight. Tereshkova was considered a particularly worthy candidate, partly due to her proletarian background, and because her father, tank leader Sergeant Vladimir Tereshkov, was a war hero. He died in the Finnish Winter War during World War II in the Lemety area in Finnish Karelia when Tereshkova was 2 years old. After her mission, she was asked how the Soviet Union should thank her for her service to the country. Tereshkova asked that the government search for and publish the location where her father was killed in action. This was done, and a monument now stands at the site in Lemety, now on the Russian side of the border. Tereshkova has since visited Finland several times. Training included weightless flights, isolation tests, centrifuge tests, rocket theory, spacecraft engineering, 120 parachute jumps and pilot training in MiG-15 UTI jet fighters. The group spent several months in intensive training, concluding with examinations in November 1962, after which 4 remaining candidates were commissioned junior lieutenants in the Soviet Air Force. Tereshkova, Solovyova and Ponomariova were the leading candidates, and a joint mission profile was developed that would see 2 women launched into space on solo Vostok flights on consecutive days in March or April 1963. Originally it was intended that Tereshkova would launch first in Vostok 5 while Ponomariova would follow her into orbit in Vostok 6. However, this flight plan was altered in March 1963. Vostok 5 would now carry a male cosmonaut, Valery Bykovsky, flying the joint mission with a woman aboard. Vostok 6 in June 1963. The State Space Commission nominated Tereshkova to pilot Vostok 6 at the meeting on 21 May, and this was confirmed by Nikita Khrushchev himself. Tereshkova was exactly 10 years younger than the youngest Mercury 7 astronaut, Gordon Cooper. After watching the successful launch of Vostok 5 on 14 June, Tereshkova began final preparations for her own flight. She was 26 at the time. On the morning of 16 June 1963, Tereshkova and her backup Solovyova were both dressed in spacesuits and taken to the launch pad by bus. After completing her communication and life support checks, she was sealed inside the Vostok. After a 2-hour countdown, Vostok 6 launched faultlessly, and Tereshkova became the first woman in space. Her call sign in this flight was Chaika, later commemorated as the name of an asteroid, 1671 Chaika. Although Tereshkova experienced nausea and physical discomfort for much of the flight, she orbited the Earth 48 times and spent almost 3 days in space. With a single flight, she logged more flight time than the combined times of all American astronauts who had flown before the date. Tereshkova also maintained a flight log and took photographs of the horizon, which were later used to identify aerosol layers within the atmosphere. Vostok 6 was the final Vostok flight and was launched 2 days after Vostok 5, which carried Valery Bykovsky into a similar orbit for 5 days, landing 3 hours after Tereshkova. The two vessels approached each other within 5 kilometers at one point, and Tereshkova communicated with Bykovsky and with Khrushchev by radio. Even though there were plans for further flights by women, it took 19 years until the second woman, Svetlana Savitskaya, flew into space. None of the other 4 in Tereshkova's early group flew, and, in October 1969, the pioneering female cosmonaut group was dissolved. Education. After her flight, Tereshkova studied at the Zhukovsky Air Force Academy and graduated with distinction as a cosmonaut engineer. In 1977 she earned a doctorate in engineering. Prominence in Soviet politics. Due to her prominence, Tereshkova was chosen for several political positions. From 1966 to 1974 she was a member of the Supreme Soviet of the Soviet Union. From 1974 to 1989 a member of the Presidium of the Supreme Soviet, and from 1969 to 1991 she was in the Central Committee of the Communist Party. In 1997, she was retired from the Russian Air Force in the Cosmonaut Corps by presidential order. Beyond her recognized political offices within the Soviet Union, Tereshkova also became a well-known representative of the Soviet Union abroad. She was made a member of the World Peace Council in 1966, a member of the Yaroslavl Soviet in 1967, a member of the Supreme Soviet of the Soviet Union in 1966 to 1970 and 1970 to 1974, and was elected to the Presidium of the Supreme Soviet in 1974. She was also the Soviet representative to the UN Conference for the International Women's Year in Mexico City in 1975. She also led the Soviet delegation to the World Conference on Women in Copenhagen and played a critical role in shaping the Socialist Women's Global Agenda for Peace. She attained the rank of deputy to the Supreme Soviet membership of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union Central Committee, vice president of the International Women's Democratic Federation and president of the Soviet Algerian Friendship Society. She was decorated with the Hero of the Soviet Union Medal, the USSR's highest award. She was also awarded the Order of Lenin, Order of the October Revolution, numerous other medals, and foreign orders including the Karl Marx Order, United Nations Gold Medal of Peace and the Simba International Women's Movement Award. She was also bestowed a title of the Hero of Socialist Labor of Czechoslovakia, Hero of Labor of Vietnam, and Hero of Mongolia. In 1990 she received an honorary doctorate from the University of Edinburgh. Tereshkova crater on the far side of the Moon was named after her. After the collapse of the Soviet Union, Tereshkova lost her political office but none of her prestige. To this day, she is revered as a hero, and to some her importance in Russian space history is only surpassed by Yuri Gagarin and Alexei Leonov. In 2011, she was elected to the State Duma, the lower house of the Russian legislature, where she continues to serve. Tereshkova's life and spaceflight were first examined in the 1975 book It Is on Seagull, Valentina Tereshkova, the first woman in space by Mitchell R. Sharp, and then again in greater detail of her life and spaceflight in the 2007 book Into That Silent Sea by Colin Burgess and Francis French, including interviews with Tereshkova and her colleagues. Tereshkova was invited to Prime Minister Vladimir Putin's residence in Novo-Ogariovo from the celebration of her 70th birthday. While She said that she would like to fly to Mars, even if it meant that it was a one-way trip. On the 5th of April 2008, she became a torchbearer of the 2008 Summer Olympics torch relay in St. Petersburg, Russia. She received the Eduard Rhine Ring of Honor from the German Eduard Rhine Foundation in 2007. Personal life. Tereshkova married Andrian Nikolaev on 3 November 1963 at the Moscow wedding palace, with Khrushchev himself presiding at the wedding party, together with top government and space program leaders. On 8 June 1964, she gave birth to their daughter Elena Andrianovna Nikolaeva Tereshkova, who became a doctor and was the first person to have both a mother and father who had traveled into space. She and Nikolaev divorced in 1982. Nikolaev died in 2004. Her second husband, the orthopedist Yuliy E.G. Shaposhnikov, died in 1999. Honors and awards. Russian Order of Merit for the Fatherland, second class, for outstanding contribution to the development of domestic space, third class, for services to the state and the great personal contribution to the development of domestic space. Order of Alexander Nevsky, Order of Honor, for outstanding contribution to the development and strengthening of international scientific, cultural and social ties. Order of Friendship, for outstanding contribution to the development of national manned spaceflight and long-term fruitful public activity. Russian Federation State Prize for outstanding achievements in the field of humanitarian action in 2008. Certificates of appreciation from the Government of the Russian Federation, the 16th of June 2008, for long-term fruitful state and public activities, considerable personal contribution to the development of manned spaceflight and in connection with the 45th anniversary of spaceflight, the 12th of June 2003, for large contribution to the development of manned spaceflight, the 3rd of March 1997, for the contribution to the development of space, the strengthening of international scientific and cultural ties and years of diligent work. Soviet Honored Master of Sport, Hero of the Soviet Union, Order of Lenin, for making progress on the development and strengthening of ties with the progressive community and peace-loving forces of foreign countries, Order of the October Revolution, Order of the Red Banner of Labor for social activities, Order of the Friendship of Peoples, Pilot Cosmonaut of the Soviet Union. Other awards: Warsaw Pact, Gold Star, Hero of Socialist Labor, Gold Star, Hero of Socialist Labor, Order of Georgy Dimitrov, Order of Karl Marx, Medal of Becker, Cross of Grunwald, First Class, Order of the National Flag with Diamonds, Order for Achievements in Science, Medal for Strengthening Brotherhood in Arms, Order of Clement Gottwald. Other awards: Order of the Star of Nepal, First Class, Order of the Star of the Republic of Indonesia, Second Class, Order of the Volta, Gold Soyombo, Hero of Labor, Order of Sukhbator, Order of the Enlightenment, Order of Planets, Order of the Nile, Gold Star, Hero of Labor, Order of Bernardo O'Higgins, Order of the Yugoslav Flag with Sash, Grand Cross of the Order of the Sun, Order of the Bay of Pigs, Order of Van Betancourt, Order of Duke Branimir with Sash, Scientific, Social and Religious Organizations Gold Medal, Tsiolkovsky Academy of Sciences of the USSR, Gold Medal of the British Society for Interplanetary Communications for achievements in space exploration, Gold Medal of the Cosmos Award Alhambra Astronautics, Gold Medal of Peace Joliot Curie, Order Windrose International Committee of the National Aeronautics and Space Missions, Golden Mimosa of the Italian Union of Women, Sign of the Komsomol for active in the League, Gold Medal Exhibition of Economic Achievements, Honor of DOSAAF, Order of St. Euphrosyne, Grand Duchess of Moscow, Second Class, Honorary Citizenships Kaluga, Yaroslavl, Karaganda, Baikonur, Gayumri, Vitebsk, Montreux, Drancy, Montgomery, Police Generosa, Darkin, Sofia, Burgers, Petric, Stara Zagora, Pleven, Varna, Bratislava. Recognition. Various locations and monuments have been named after Valentina Tereshkova, a lunar crater, Tereshkova, a minor planet, 1671 Chaika, Yalta Embankment. Many streets in Vitebsk, Volokholamsk, Grodno, Irkutsk, Ishimbai, Kemerovo, Klin, Korolyov, Lipetsk, Myashchi, Ardatov, Novosibirsk, Novochiboksask, Odessa, Orenburg, Yaroslavl, Krasnoyarsk, Penza, Good-Hermes. A square in Tver. School number 32 in Yaroslavl, where she studied. Museum of Tereshkova, Cosmos, near her native village. Monument in Bayevsky district of Altai Territory, Siberia, close to her landing place of 53 degrees north, 80 degrees east. Greatest woman of 20th century. Cosmonaut Monument in Moscow. Monument planned at Tereshkova's birthplace in Yaroslavl. Yaroslavl Planetarium. In popular culture, a representation of Valentina Tereshkova is included in Kerbal space program, named Valentina Kerman, who is the first female Kerbonaut in the game. She also has the badass personality type, meaning the character responds with awe or pleasure even in extremely dangerous situations. In 1997, London-based electronic pop group Computer released a song entitled Valentina, which gives a more or less direct account of her career as a cosmonaut. It was released as a single and appears on their album The World of Tomorrow. The band Public Service Broadcasting has a song entitled Valentina on the 2015 album The Race for Space in tribute to her. In the same year, Findlay Napier's album VIP. Very interesting persons included a song Valentina, written in her honor by Napier and Buhuedin. In Season 3 of Orange is the New Black, Red describes Tereshkova as her hero, and notes her focus in wanting to travel to Mars, despite being in her 70s. In 2015, a short film entitled Valentina's Dream was released by Meet Bingo Productions. The film stars Rebecca Front as Tereshkova and is based on an interview by the former cosmonaut where she expressed a desire to journey to Mars. The 2007 video game Mass Effect included a fictional star system named Tereshkova. Streets in Ukraine that did bear Tereshkova's name have been renamed due to the country's 2015 decommunization law.